that Neanderthal brow she has. And what age is this broad? Because you show signs of age with that deep line that goes around here. I am against plastic surgery, honestly. I believe we should all be ourselves. But in extreme cases,
yeah, so it messed up everything.
Gotcha.
So then they found out that I falsified some documents and I was forced to resign my commission. That was,
now here's a funny thing. You got a guy who's supposedly an ex-military guy, and Jesus, they will let anybody in there. Goddamn, I think the club is more selective than the military. Anybody's walking into the military. In fact, they have to recruit. You see, no one has to recruit really for the club. You hear me? For example, tomorrow, actually, I think that's tonight, Rick Ross is going to be at Dre's. They don't have to recruit, people pulling up. But for the Army, yes, they have to recruit. And as a result of not being able to achieve recruitment numbers, they kind of have to lower their standards. And they let in a she like that. Oh my goodness. And then you have so many persons who are low quality, low morals, and they do things like she did, which was to defraud and to falsify documents, which is kind of what scammers do. Yes, falsifying documents. Now, it's amazing to me, of all the documents you might falsify, you're in the Army military branch, you falsify documents and pass them off to the Army as though you ain't about to get busted. Oh, this is real low IQ stuff. And it's amazing because she regards herself as a genius. What kind of genius is that? I've never seen a genius of that sort. But hey, that's just me though. Apparently, I don't know a damn thing. And all these single mothers, these dented cans on the internet, these lonely mothers, they know everything. Oh, and by the way, if any of them appear in the chat, please do let me know. Send in a super chat. Hey, Marquette, so-and-so would like to come on screen. I'll drop the link. I'd love to have a civil conversation because I really just want to understand, how is it that you have a whole child from a heterosexual relationship, yet you purport to be a lesbian? I feel like you're faking the funk. Oh, by the way, shout out to Tyree supporting the work. He writes, peace of the saints, crush this ant with a sledgehammer. Sir, yes, sir. Carrying on.
That was cool with me. That worked out.
Yeah.
That worked out into my benefit. You know why? Because
see, this is what you will observe in the liar. They never take responsibility. They never come clean. They never take accountability. She just basically suggested that being busted for falsifying documents while in the American military worked out to her benefit. Amazing. And what she really is about to suggest is that because she did not experience the full punishment associated with the actual crimes that she committed, it worked out, which is to say that she got off easy for her misdeeds. Huh?
Gonna try to court-martial me anyway.
Yeah.
They were gonna try to court-martial me. You know what I was gonna try?
And look at this little gummy bear fellow. Does he stand on morality and say, hey, do you feel any remorse for what you did? Do you feel guilt? Do you feel like you did the wrong thing? If you could do it again, would you do it the same way? A man is not responsible for lecturing any and everyone, but at some point, wouldn't he stand up? The boy's just there the whole time like, absolutely, yeah, that's right, facts. This guy is Beavis and Butthead out here.
Try to court-martial me.
I'm gonna talk to you about that offline. Go ahead though.
Yeah.
Oh, you see how he's trying to protect her? I'm going to talk to you about that offline. Why do we have to talk offline? I mean, you've come online to share, to do a tell-all, to do an interview. Why is this off limits? Well, it's off limits because it reveals the despicable nature of her character, that her character is greatly in lack. And someone also, please ask her to stop making these faces.
Oh, but no, I'm telling you, the thing is, here's the thing. I don't
begin with that long ass deep breath. Here's the thing. Like, man, I mean, them lies must be exhausting. She's inhaling as though she just finished running a 5-minute mile.
I'm not submissive. I don't bow down. You can't.
Wow. Now here's the funny thing. I want you guys to really understand this psychologically. She's just stated, quote, I am not submissive. Okay, that's fine. You mustn't be submissive. There's a range to all things. Some women are on that range of being unruly such that they should never be married. You might lay them and play them, you dig, but you don't marry them. She might be on that low level to where she's just a plaything for men. But the fact is this: you claim that you are not submissive, yet you would self-select into relationships where you're being physically abused. So you're suggesting that you're not submissive to try to portray yourself as this tough, strong woman. But if you were a tough, strong woman, you would not have self-selected into multiple relationships where you were physically abused. That's number one. Number two, secondly, if you were a tough, strong woman, You wouldn't be the one getting physically abused. If it came to fisticuffs, then you'd be able to properly defend yourself physically. So let us stop the pretend. This is one thing that I find to be comical, precisely why I find the concept of a female president, also known as a commander-in-chief, to be ludicrous. How could we be led by one who's not even had a fist fight? And if they did, they wouldn't be able to win. How can we be led by the very party that when war breaks out, they're typically the one that gets R space A space PED, right? Like they're the victim. You know, no, it wouldn't make sense for the victim to be the protector of all of the peoples of the nation. It's just silliness. In fact, how would we put the woman at the head of the country when war breaks out, or even when the Titanic was sinking, they said, save the women and children. Yes, the leaders, they take the sacrifice. Come on now, we're so backward in this era.
Threaten me with putting your hands on me. You can't make me stay.
No one threatened you. They did put their hands on you. So stop playing this nonsense. See, these are the delusions and the lies. She stated twice that she was being physically abused. And mind you, that's a terrible thing, which I do not support at all at any level. I think it's a vile thing. And I always advise men and women, if it comes to a point where there is a physical assault within your household, that is the end of your relationship. I don't care about marriage counseling. I don't care about any of that. You need to end the relationship. It is over. Start a new one with hopefully a new you. Work on yourself before you go into another relationship, but do not even try to patch it up. Once you've come to physical abuse, it's over. It's done. Yet.
In nothing, right? So I was able to leave the military free and clear, right?
You didn't leave free and clear. You left in disgrace. You didn't leave free and clear. You left as a result of you being found out for passing off falsified documents. So now you're lying again. And the worst thing is that she is the person who exposes the self. You know, you don't even need to do an investigation. You must only listen to her, which is why it's quite concerning that you have an army of broken women, dented cans, I like to call them, who would listen to her and somehow think that she's an authentic or sincere person when there is very little about her that is sincere.
And I moved to Houston, 2012. And then I got into some more trouble out here.
Damn, has her life not just been a litany of problems, challenges, missteps, bad decisions, unfortunate happenings? It's like she's not described anything that I would want to emulate. I always thought that's what a leader was about. They lead, they're out in front, you follow their footsteps. She said she had a 430 credit score. I kid you not, I didn't even know that was possible. Shout out to Con the Don supporting by Cash App. She's breaking Guinness World Records out here. Huh? What she is a broken woman. And that's why I was so accurate when she was on my channel. And I said to her, how is it that you have the arrogance to step out in front and suggest that you are a leader when you do not have any advantage or any, you're not in advance of the average person? How could you even suggest to be the leader of anyone? You've not done any better than anyone. In fact, she's done worse. The average woman in the society has not had her ass kicked in her romantic relationship. The average woman in the society does not have a credit score of 430. That sounds like a meeting time for an early dinner. The average woman in our society does not look like a Neanderthal. She's actually in a worse off position by all metrics. So it's just incalculable how they would find her to be someone to admire. The only reason would be that she is the big mouth pretending to go up against men, right? And as these women have been abused by men, the minority of women who follow her, the ones who are now lesbians, also lonely mothers, that minority of women who have suffered at the hands of brutish men, they see her appearing to go up against men and they want to rally behind her such that she is, like their mascot, the mascot for the strong woman. But it's all a farce because we know there's no such thing. There's a such thing as a competent woman, an intelligent woman, a productive woman, a loving woman, a caring woman. But a strong woman, not really a thing. A powerful woman, not really a thing.
Right.
I had a Louisiana driver's license, right? I had a Louisiana driver's license, and I didn't switch it over, but I ain't had no money. I didn't have nothing when I got out of the.
Why is she lying? Now, I'm not saying she's lying now. I'm saying she was lying previously, and we're uncovering it. She stated earlier that she had $40,000 that was stolen from her by two grifters who were clearly smarter than she is. Okay, so if that is the case, that you had 40,000, then now you have nothing. Why is it so consistently in your life you have nothing as an adult? This is what I want to remind you of is, and I say this all the time, I say you should not trust, and I don't want to be around them, people who are broke and people who are ugly. Do not trust people who are broke and ugly. Why? Because people who are broke need money. You can't really trust them in as much of their effort is focused on getting money from you. You can't trust people who are ugly because their unfortunate experiences in life have created a complex. They didn't get the attention that they wanted in high school or in their youth. Now they will do anything ruthlessly to position themselves on top to get that which they never experienced. Huh? Let's talk about it.
Military, and when I left there out of that abusive relationship with no money, bad credit, everything, I didn't have nowhere. I didn't have $1 to my name. I had to catch a ride with my friend.
Damn, that's hood. You have to catch a ride. You're a grown ass person catching rides. That's some real hood black stuff. You know, after you do it, they're like, damn, you ain't got $5 for my gas. I can't remember the last time someone mentioned gas money. It's a disgusting, very impoverished thing. And by the way, to the broken women who may be in the chat, if any of you are actually heterosexual, I'd be truly curious to hear why you follow a homosexual or woman who dabbles in homosexuality or plays with it like it's something that you pick up like a jacket and you put it on temporarily. I'd be curious to understand that. And also for those of you women who have, similar to Princella, crossed over from being heterosexual to now homosexual, I'd be interested to understand that. And then lastly, she actually has a child. I'd be curious, well, what do you tell your child now that you're laying down with women? You pretend as though that is a normal and good thing? And then lastly, I'd be interested to know if any of her fans are, aware of what her husband, yes, that is right, her current husband, thinks of her newfound sexuality. And good Lord, what happened in that relationship that was so bad that she said, you know what, I want to eat.
Uncle who lived in Houston, who just so happened to be in Shreveport at the time for a funeral, and I rode back with them.
Gotcha.
And my friend gave me $20 just to eat something because I didn't have no money.
That's because you are trash. Now, I'm not saying that, being poor makes you trash. What I'm saying is that you're trash if you would purport to be a leader of others, yet you were scrambling and scrounging for $20. Here's why I say that. And let's just keep it real. The facts are the facts. You can read my book, The Black Box, my true life story. I had more money than Princella when I was a 12-year-old boy. True story. Why? Because I knew how to hustle. At 12, I knew how to hustle better than this broad knew how to hustle in her 30s. Huh? Yes. Come on now.
Because those guys broke me to my knees.
Oh,
right.
Oh, those guys broke you down to your knees. Oh, it was those guys who did it. It wasn't your own incompetence. It wasn't your own bad decision making. It had nothing to do with you. It was those guys. But also, let us forget about your mother. You didn't have a mother, right? You just poof, you just appeared. You didn't have a mother, so it was those guys. Your grandmother, who you mentioned, you said left you outside like a dog and starved you and fed you old victuals. It wasn't her. It was those guys. I almost forgot. Okay, got it. Understood. Blame game. Wow. No, mind you, leaders don't play the blame game. And this is how we know we're in a sick era. Our political class, our leadership, when you say, I was just talking to someone yesterday, I said, hey, have you noticed that things have been pretty darn bad since Joe Biden was in office? It's like, yeah, but can you blame Joe Biden? Well, damn it, he's been the president. Yeah, I'd say so. No, I mean, he came in after Trump. Trump messed everything up. That's what we're just seeing the results of Trump. That's how you feel? Okay. So we're blaming the guy who's not the president for the outcomes during Biden's presidency. That's not manly. That's not manly. Huh? Blaming others. Wow.
So when I got here, I ended up staying on the floor in the corner of my brother's apartment.
Your brother, a male? So a male helped you out, but men are all bad. A male helped you out, but men don't understand love. A male helped you out, but we need to be extinct. Wow, that's strange. Shout out to Juan, comes in by Cash App, writes, peace of the saints, tuition for the ism. I want you all to notice that she suffered trauma and failed at such a sad level to recover that she cannot see clearly or think clearly. She claims the male is evil, the male is wicked, the male is a great abuser and aggressor. Not some of them, but all of them. And I've never abused a woman. I bet many of you have not. And then she's talking about the male helping her when she's in her lowest state. But still, we're so bad. And you know, I've noticed I haven't heard of any women helping her. Mother didn't help her, grandmother didn't help her, but her male brother helped her. But we're so bad. And she's also on another man's platform. She says she doesn't go into the spaces of men, but every time you see her, she's on Valuetainment, male platform, The Saint in the Center, male platform, Fresh and Fit, male platform, and this fruity guy here, male platform.
My brother's wife charged me $230 to stay there. After.
Whoa, so you're telling me that the woman, the female, charged you? So your brother was willing to let you stay there for the free, but the female, engaging in that old classic female jealousy, she said, no, monkey face, you need to pay, Donkey Kong face. Wow. Interesting.
I got a job.
Yeah.
Doing door-to-door sales, right?
Right.
I got a job doing door-to-door sales. Right. This bra sound like a 1960s spoken word jazz musician, like that was never successful after they just like recovered from heroin. They still laying down with the needle in their arm, and their junkie buddies like, hey brother, the police coming, the fuzz coming, you got to get up. And they're like, right. They're like, not the police coming, they're coming upstairs. Right. Yeah, right. Somebody get this broad a black beret. You heard me? This broad is a nut. Anyways, shout out to Franklin. He writes, Peace of Saints. Subscribe to your channel after watching you body her the first time. Your composure silenced her, and your facts defeated her. If this were Mortal Kombat, this live is your flawless victory. Oh, indeed.
So
what year was this? This was 2012?
This is 2012. Door-to-door sales. And I was
now, is anyone watching this just thinking, God damn, Shorty, have you gone on for an entire 30 minutes talking about all of your problems in life? Like, I don't really want to hear this. But this makes perfect sense with the typical female psychology. And what I mean by that is the average female, you see, they like to engage in drama. They desire emotional variation. And what I mean is that, now I remember this when I was a young man. My mother used to watch this network called Lifetime. It was the Lifetime Network, a network made for women, which was curious because I don't think there was a network made for men. Anyways, this network made for women, all of the shows seem to revolve around the same thing: women getting kidnapped, women being victim of sexual abuse. And I was just like, why do you want to watch such horrible, negative things? And then what did my grandmother watch? My grandmother used to watch a show called Unsolved Mysteries. Same stuff. Women getting kidnapped, women being victim of RAPE. The psychology of the female, you know, it is no surprise that we should wonder why in the Bible they're portrayed as like the individuals who kind of started off things on the wrong foot. And we observe today that they're often jealous. They're also often engaged in gossip. This is not to put women down or to say much negative about them. Men have their vices as well. Aggression being one of them. Inability to communicate in certain moments being one of them. But the female must be managed lest we find that they just dabble in the dirt and filth. And both the male and the female must be refined. But here she is recounting every trauma she's ever had. Like, Shorty, we don't care. We don't want to hear it. And more importantly, that is not inspiring. You've not told us of one thing you've done at an extraordinary level. All of the things you've told us that are bad are true. All the things you've told us that are good are false. How about that? I was an officer in the military. Yeah, I was also kicked out for falsifying documents. Come on. This is what's going on.
Down. I was at rock bottom. I ain't have a dollar to my name.
I ain't have a dollar to my name. I believe you. Shout out to Mr. Pete, comes in with tuition by cash. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to the real ones who stand up to be counted.
Saw how stressful I was living, and he wanted me to relax. But that ain't in my, that's not.
Oh, he wanted you to relax. He observed how much you were stressed, which is to say he took mercy on you. Yes, he took mercy on you. And here you are again trying to aggrandize the self, trying to make yourself seem somehow extraordinary when really you're an extraordinary failure. You're an extraordinary grifter. Not much else about you is extraordinary. Well, you are extraordinarily ugly. But aside from that, here she is. She's just explained how she's had a series of bad decisions that have led her to worse circumstances. And now she's about to suggest that she's some genius. And my brother wanted me to relax, but that's not my makeup. No, it obviously is, because no one ends up broke from hustling. I promise you that.
In my body, that's not in my mind, because I'm not no quitter. I don't give up.
We all know that whoever wrote those books is clearly someone who might have a basic education, and it was not her. She did not write her own books. I've not read any of them because I know they can only be composed of like metaphysical garbage, but she just stated, quote, "I'm not no." She said, I'm not no quitter. The basics of the English language, you would learn this perhaps in like the second grade, if not at home. It's called a double negative. I'm not no, which means it negates your actual meaning that you're trying to convey, and it is improper. It is not proper English. She sounds so foolish. But you have a whole line of these chicks who used to be those ratchet broads with stretch mark stomachs, single moms standing outside of the club to go see Juicy J. And then once they realize, they're unwanted in the club, they've become over the hill, hit the wall. Now they want to follow her and get mad at everyone else for their bad decisions. This is what she is. She is the queen of those who want to blame others for her bad decisions. Huh?
And I don't let outside circumstances dictate how I think and how I move. So I didn't sit on my behind when I got there. I had a Louisiana.
Now, you ever hear somebody try to make it sound noble that someone else offered you a couch for you to crash on for a free $99? You paid a grand total of $0 to be there, and she's trying to act like she's somehow I did not sit on my butt once I got there. I want you to notice the narcissism here. She didn't take out the time to praise her brother. She didn't take out the time to acknowledge his sacrifice. He's upsetting his own household by bringing in a butch into his house where he has a happy family with a proper woman, a real woman. She does not acknowledge his sacrifice. She does not acknowledge the fact that this old ass broad is stinking up their couch. She's not acknowledging any of that. Instead, she's trying to assign merit to herself instead of saying, I was so thankful and grateful that he saw me struggling and wanted to hold me up when I couldn't hold up myself. She's not done that. And really, that would have been the right thing to do. But rarely do we see her do or say the right thing. Really sick and sad, honestly.
A driver's license, and I just went and I took the first job that I could get was
right.
which was a direct marketing gig.
Right.
And I had to get up at 4 o'clock every morning. I had to walk to the parking ride, and I had to ride 3 buses to get all the way on the other side of town just so I can go knock on doors all day. And
here's the funny thing. Notice how stupid people end up in a bad situation because of their stupidity. Then they try to act like, it's like, oh, I don't deserve this. You dummy, you were in the military and you got kicked out of the military because you lied and falsified documents. Your life would have been extremely easy in a place where they provide food, shelter, and direction. So you would have been there getting guidance from whom? From men, which is probably good guidance, better than you have on your own. So you would have been there in a place with food, shelter, and guidance. A simple, easy, predictable life, but you chose not to enjoy that because you, with your low character, engaged in behaviors that got you kicked out of the military. And in getting kicked out of the military, now you're floundering and suffering, which is not surprising. We should know that. One who goes into the military at 18 as a female is someone who lacks guidance. They don't know much. They don't understand much. They don't know what to do. So then when she was out unto her own devices, what happened? She fails at life. Surprise, surprise. No one's surprised.
Knocking on doors, selling products. And then I would get off at like 10 o'clock at night and have to take that long bus ride all the way back home.
But explain why you're in that situation, because you lied and falsified documents in the military. Shout out to Just My 4 Cents supporting the work. Truly appreciate it. May I also acknowledge Jamari, who became a member on marquettism.com, marquettism.com. May we welcome him warmly to this thing of ours. It's a beautiful thing to see the movement of those who are good people, those who are sane, grow by leaps and bounds. Also, shout out to Wayne with the baller alert. He writes, peace to the saints, nice fit. I appreciate that, you dig. He writes, shout out to the assassin and the HQ in a real way.
4 o'clock in the morning to do it all over. I did that for 8 months.
For 8 months. This broad's voice is disgusting. She sound like Harriet Tubman. She sound like Harriet Tubman, because Harriet Tubman went through a lot in her life, right? You know, after being a slave and getting beat for all them years. Shorty sound just like that. It's a real pity. You know, I did that for 8 months. 8 months I did that.
And it cooled off a little bit when I was able to buy a car off a door-to-door sale. So then I didn't have to go knocking on doors and doing all of that riding, right? But the problem was,
damn, another problem? Shit.
Things went from bad to worse.
Shocker. I've been noticing a trend in your life. Things went from bad to worse. And look at this this demonic woman smiling and laughing about it. That's strange. Things went from bad to worse. Let's have a good laugh about that. Yikes.
It went from bad to worse after I got the car because I spent all my money on the car. I saved up all.
God, you ever meet someone that's so negative? Let me encourage you all to not spend any time around pessimistic individuals, because here's what they like to do, especially those who are unproductive. They use negativity to get attention and sympathy. Imagine she's complaining about having to wake up at 4 a.m. and catch 3 buses just to get to a crummy job. Never mind the fact that she's in that crummy job because she was scamming in the military and got kicked out. Then she buys a car, which you would think, oh, bravo, bravo, that's good news. But then she's complaining like, oh, but I had to spend all my money to get the car. Oh, okay, thanks, love. And this is the behavior and thinking of a female who was not raised with a good father, because a good father would have checked her mother on this kind of behavior and checked her as a kid, which is to say, let her know that, no, love, the world does not have uber sympathy for every little challenge that you experience. You know what those challenges are called, dear? That's called life. And when you say that, life, it can mean, you know, the challenges, or it can mean the things that are beautiful in life. If you want to see a beautiful life well lived, you know, check out the big homie on IG. I'm gonna go ahead and drop that. You can find me at Marquette Devon. You dig? And what you'll see is life well lived, though. You heard me? And mind you, I've been living at a high level for many, many years. And that is the result of good decisions. Doesn't happen on accident. Shout out to None of the Above 101. He writes, Saint Casey, aka Major Mind and Soul, got the car sales game locked down. He dropped some game and influenced my mother's new car purchase in a positive way. That's a beautiful thing. And that is the power of our network. And that's why I love to see all of the intelligent men and women, a part of the Assassin, who are in our private Discord and who are members. They can enrich one another. He writes, my English is not very good. I think it goes, peace to the saints, in a real way. Yes, indeed.
All my money and I spent it all on a car, because this is my mentality. As long as I got a car, I ain't never really homeless.
Nice.
As long as I
this dumb nigga. Facts. Shout out to the fucking idiots who are so brain dead that they can't put together an original thought. So they speak in platitudes. They speak in, you know, language that is all very common. Facts. Yes, queen. Period. Like, they speak in these popular phrases. They can never put together an original thought. Sad. Marquette Devon on Instagram. See how bosses live.
got a car. So I bought a car because I'm not going to be
speaking good English, because nigga, it just wouldn't be right.
Sleeping on the asphalt. I sleep in the car, but I'm not going to sleep on the asphalt.
Now, notice how much of a liar this chick is. She was just talking about where she's living. She's living for free off of whom? Off of a man. Name my brother. She's living for free off of her brother and acting as though she was so damn clever to buy a car. And imagine feeling as though your ass has won the lottery by merely buying a Pinto. Your ass has bought a motherfucking Toyota Corolla and you feel like you've won the lottery. Amazing how doing everyday average stuff is such an accomplishment to the queen.
So I went and I bust my ass and I got that car. but the headlight was out on the car, and I went and I got some insurance. I ain't had no money.
Now, mind you, this is how you know. See, I question if she was born a female, but I know she was born a female. This is how I know. Females will tell you every irrelevant ass detail of a story if you let them. And one thing I do respectfully is I respectfully say, shut the fuck up. Don't nobody want to hear all this shit. God damn. Give me the summary. What's the cliff notes? Where's the goddamn plot? What's the punchline? Let's get to it. Hurry through this story. Damn. Don't you know I got somewhere to be? Shit. I'm not a mortal bitch. Now bust my ass to get this car. But the headlight was out. Bitch, I don't need to know all this shit. Matter of fact, what was the question? Can somebody repeat the question? The fuck is she talking about? Where's this story going? No wonder this damn video doesn't have any views. This video has 7.9K views and it's 10 months old. No wonder.
You keep up the insurance.
Right.
The insurance, and then I canceled the policy, but I kept the paperwork.
What did she just do? She just pointed out how she's scamming. She said, I bought insurance, I purchased insurance, I canceled the insurance, but I kept the paperwork. Then but I kept the paperwork, which is to say I was scamming. I have the paperwork such that if I get into a car accident, I can pretend as though I'm an insured driver. I kept the paperwork such that if I get pulled over by the police, I can pretend as though I'm abiding by the law. I kept the paperwork to continue my scamming mentality, the same mentality that got me kicked out of the goddamn army and put into this situation, the very one that I'm complaining about right now.
Right?
I gotta rewind.
And so policy, but I kept the paperwork. Right?
Yeah.
And so the headlight was out. It's like I had a curse on me in 2012. The harder I worked,
that's a good point. She's like, it's like I had a curse on me. Who the fuck wants to follow a doomsday leader where everything is bad for them? I'd rather follow a real player, you dig? I'd rather follow a player that opens up his closet and he's like, which of these handmade custom suits that I designed myself shall I wear today? And then you go out in the world, they're like, hey, you look great. What's the occasion? Life. Every day's a holiday. Every day's payday. Life is good. And he goes out spreading beauty in the world. You walk into a place, people recognize you and they regard you. That's how people want to live, choosing which car to drive, hanging out with black doctors, righteous men who are intelligent, accomplished, and wealthy. That's how people want to live. No one wants to live as this bitch is talking about. It's like my life was cursed. Bitches like my life was blessed. You dig? Nobody wants to be like this. Goddamn. What kind of psychotic persons would follow her? Only the truly, truly downtrodden.
Most steps I took forward, the most steps I took backwards. I ended up getting.
Wait, was that English? What does this bitch say?
It's like I had a curse on me in 2020.
Like I had a curse on me. The slave, when I ran away from the plantation, masses put some curse on me, and the ones that stayed on the plantation, they did voodoo on me. And ever since they did the voodoo on me, I ain't been the same. I used to have a normal voice, but ever since then, I could only talk with the soul of Harriet Tubman. They put a curse on me, and ain't nothing been right since then. I've been drifting from street to street. Ain't nothing been right. Lord, pray for me. Shout to Zachary. He writes, Peace of the Saints. It's a shame that Valuetainment has yet to have you on the platform, especially considering the fact that they gave a voice to Princella. Adam alleges he's an advocate for men. Hashtag pitiful. Absolutely. They're an advocate for themselves. They're an advocate for enriching their own bank accounts. They're an advocate for LGBTQ ideology in as much as they platform these folks consistently, from the blue-haired booty bandit to this dude right here. And they're also dishonest and cowardly. Shout out to Adam being chief among them, who fits that description.
Ended up getting pulled over 8 times in that car.
Let me
wait, bitch, you was doing something wrong. If you get pulled over 8 times, you were doing something wrong. Listen, there's a such thing as driving while black. Sure, I know, because I remember when I used to drive the BMW drop in Los Angeles and San Francisco, I used to get pulled over a lot. So that is a thing. LAPD is shiesty as hell, and California is just very much so a police state. I get it, but you weren't in California. But here's another thing. You're not like Bernie Mac black, bitch. You're not dark skin to where like you're driving by there's one of them. Why did you?
I ended up getting pulled over 8 times in that car.
Let me ask you this before we
Look at her ugly ass waiting for him to like feel sorry for her. Like, oh, really? That's messed up. That's racism. Nah, bitch, you were missing a headlight. The fuck? That's against the law. It's dangerous. Your ass wasn't able to signal. You had to signal like you was on a bike. You feel me? You had to put your motherfucking arm out the window and shit to signal. When you drive, you just put your arm out the window and shit. You doing all this shit. You got pulled over because your ass was not abiding by something called the law, which is consistent. And you had that fake ass insurance. And we know that you were scamming in the military. So why would we take pity on someone like you when something bad happens to you is probably a good thing all in all, because it's happening to a person who is not a good person, who's a deceiver, a liar. Huh?
we go on.
Yeah.
How old were you in 2012?
What I'm like, what am I?
What this nigga think he LL Cool J right now? This motherfucker about to lick his lips. This nigga like this nigga in his zone right now. What kind of like 1972 pimp laugh? This nigga feel like he sound like he just farted and nobody know. Kind of weird ass laugh this nigga. I might need to make this nigga's laugh a sound effect on the soundboard. When shit ain't really that funny, but you're laughing anyway. When you farted, but a little extra came out. Fuck is wrong with this ball?
What I was 25?
20.
What I'm
This before we go on.
Now, how, I didn't think it was possible, but this bid didn't show the uglier side to her face. Now, it's truly amazing. She just gave us an angle that made her uglier. Unreal. Let's take a look at this. Check this out. I'm gonna enlarge this, which is really, I'm foul for enlarging this, but hell, here we go. Look at this.
yeah.
Oh my God, that's ugly. And look at the circular. You see this circular piece around her mouth right here. Like this whole shit is like one big circle. Kind of look like Homer Simpson. Look at this right here. This bitch got the same shit. Got that circle around her mouth. Huh? This bitch looked like the discontinued Simpson. So, it's possible. It's possible that there may be an Adam's apple there. But one thing we should notice is that strong ass jaw and chin. She definitely has a man's chin. This bitch could play Conan in the next Marvel movie. Ooh, Macho Man Randy Savage, step into a Slim Jim. Oh, yeah.
So you were in you said a polygamous relationship?
You say polygynous, right?
Polygynous.
This broad done it all. Lord Jesus, just when you think you've heard everything, Princella has done it all. One thing, and maybe she hasn't done it all in the ways that she suggested in terms of, business, and I study psychology and pharmacology and botanology and molecular bell biology. I got a background in all those things. Maybe she's not done that, but this bitch, as far as them streets and as far as sex goes, she's done it all. This whore pervert broad. Damn, this is a bad angle. She looked like a nigga named Reggie Miller, to be exact. This bitch looked like she could shoot the 3-ball with competence right now. This bitch looked like Joanna Man.
But you weren't actually legally married?
No. It's like, I want everybody to know, I honestly don't care what nobody think about me.
I honestly don't care what nobody think about me. And y'all got to bear with me because I might do a stand-up comedy routine. And I just want to get her voice down, right? I just want to get her voice down before I do my stand-up comedy routine, baby. I honestly don't care what nobody think about me, right? Listen here, baby. The law of effect and cause is that there's always going to be a cause for the effect. And y'all just looking at it 3-dimensional. And men can't experience love, baby, right? And what I'm trying to tell you is broad is trash.
Because at the end of the day, my only purpose
is grifting.
For even saying what I'm saying is to be a light, to show resilience.
Wait, how is your only purpose to be a light when everything you have said for the last 30 minutes has been utter darkness, gloom, and doom? That's it.
Show a hard work ethic and a hard mind, and ain't nothing that nobody gonna say. Opinion, right. Because what I accomplished,
you ain't accomplished shit.
I did this by myself, And I didn't have to run into the arms of a man to save me.
Whoa, you're lying. You did run into the arms of a man several times. You were literally living rent-free on your own brother's couch. He's a man, in case you didn't know. Why the lies? Can someone challenge her on this?
Because if men were so benevolent, it would have been easy for a man to reach out and save and help me with the stuff that I was
Bitch,
going through.
a man did help you. Your brother let you live for free. You lying rat, bitch. I want to know why this fat ass dude who looks like Omar from Baby Boy, he's like a lighter skinned Omar from Baby Boy. I want to know why this fat fella is not saying, "Bitch, you just told us you were living on a nigga's couch for free."
But no, instead of finding that, what did you find? You found vultures looking for an opportunity to take advantage of somebody.
You poor thing, Princella, you poor thing. Everybody used and abused you, you poor thing. No one cared about you, you poor thing. You know what she would love? She would love for me to hug her and rub her bald ass head and tell her that she is a fighter and she's strong and she's an independent woman and she made it on her own and she made it through a world where everyone used and abused her. But that's just a lie. That's just a lie.
And I became a resilient person. So there's nothing that they're going to do.
I want him to ask and say, Princella, what were your mistakes? You've gone on for 40 effing minutes. What were your mistakes? Everything you've described was everyone else's shortcomings, everyone else's mistakes. You see, in my book, The Black Box, I give you an example of someone who has enough humility to look in the mirror honestly and acknowledge where they fell short. In my book, you'll read a particular end of a chapter where I say, I was pathetic. I wasn't pathetic. It was a word worse than pathetic. I can't remember the word actually, but something to the effect of pathetic, because at that time I was living a life of crime. And I knew that it was, the word was despicable. I was despicable. And I knew that it was wrong. And I had to change to get to the next level. I had to change. I was in the wrong. I was making bad decisions and I would suffer as a result. In her case, there's no I unless she's giving praise. Come on now.
Flip this narrative because I don't care, because eventually the world is going to hear it. The world going to see it. And I'm just here to be a shining light for somebody who want to be better and not be a victim.
For sure.
That's amazing. She says, I'm here for someone who doesn't want to be a victim, but everything that she's spoken over the last 40 minutes was all victimology. That's it. This is the level of delusion. She tells you that I'm here for the green people, but everything she spoke of has been for the purple people. Like, none of this is adding up. I don't even know how certain groups could follow her. How could you be heterosexual and follow a lesbian, huh? How could you be a black woman and follow someone who hates black people? How could you be a white woman and follow someone who hates white people? She hates black people. She hates white people. She hates men. You know, the only thing she doesn't hate is herself. Yes, the only thing.
Either you want to be a victim or you want to be a victor. But I'm not here to show weakness because I'm not weak. I'm not here to explain why I think about people the way I think about them. You're going to see it. And either it's going to shine a light.
Man, this bitch is so repetitive. Like, God damn, I got to fast. Oh, that was ugly as hell. Look at this shit. Oh, this bitch is ugly, boy. Lord, she ugly. Look at this. No, this right here. This looks like she had, you ever had, you know how some people say, oh, that fart slipped out, or you know, you try to rip one of them silent ones. She making that face, she had to push that fart out, you know, and she over there pushing that fart out. She's like, look, I'm in my own studio, shit, it don't matter. And you could tell this one of them ones that's so fucking smelly that it's like, you ever smell your own fart? You're like, you damn near think it's somebody else's fart because it hurt you too. Usually it's not like you're suicide bombing. But this bitch looked like she didn't rip one, she didn't pushed it out, and it stinks so bad that she about to get a nosebleed. Bitch is uglier than a motherfucker. And look at this boy that got these yellow ass teeth. God damn, how do your teeth get that yellow? This is extraordinary. Look at this boy on the left side. And I don't know if it's because his complexion is so fucking pink. This motherfucker look like Santa Claus. God damn, this pink face motherfucker. If you dye his beard white, you bleach that shit white, this motherfucker is Santa Claus. God damn, this pink face some bitch. But look at them yellow ass teeth. Lord Jesus, get this motherfucker some Rembrandt. Get this motherfucker some crest white strips. Get him something. I mean, god damn, I ain't never whitened my shit, but you know, I grew up old school. My grandmother, she's a Southerner, right? And Southerners got all kind of home remedies for shit. You know, she literally, baby, go break off some of that plant. That's aloe vera right there. Rub it right here. Rub it right there. She got all kind of shit like that. You know, she's a Southerner. She grew up picking cotton. She's close to the earth, shall we say. And we never used toothpaste. I kid you not. She'd be like, here, baby, take some of this baking soda. She poured a little baking soda in your hand. Looked like a little pile of cocaine. She put, baby, take this baking soda. Take you a pinch of salt. Take your now get that up on your toothbrush and brush your teeth with that. And I'll be like in my head thinking, just go to the 99-cent store, get a fucking toothpaste. Point is, to this day, true story, I have a grand total of 0 cavities. I've never had a cavity in my entire life. Not when I was a kid with kid teeth, not as an adult. I have 0 cavities. Turns out grandma knew something. Grandma knew something.
I do. What did I do and what did I not do?
Why are you talking like that, bro?
Right.
What did I do and what did I not do?
So this is why they call you Pastor P.
You nerd, nigga. This is why they call you Pastor P. God damn, can I get a yes man like that shit? I want a hype man around me. Some little fat ass pink nigga sitting around me. Look like the nigga was just born yesterday and he ain't been outdoors yet. That's why they call you the big homie. This motherfucker is the most co-signing nigga on earth. This nigga is Tony Yayo. I feel like this motherfucker need to be on a track just ad-libbing everything I say off some Lil Jon shit. Yeah, okay. Like, god damn, boy.
Right.
I keep seeing that up in here. You know, I was like, Pastor P, who's Pastor? And I say, oh, this must be Pastor P. You know, in the cup. So the gig, you know, the insurance
car. And I ain't had no money at the time.
Right.
So guess what?
Listen to me, Saints. How many times has she said, quote, I ain't had no money. I ain't had no money. And that is why now we know that her great effort is to get some money. That's her focus, to get some money. That's all she's focused on. Because I remind you, poverty is a traumatic thing. And again, Marquette states, a man who is experienced is wise. A woman who is experienced is traumatized, is scarred. Poverty is a traumatic experience for a woman. Lamb writes, hi, Saint. I don't know anything about this chick, but she seems very broken. Indeed, she is a dented can. And if you're telling me that people follow her, then they must be broken too. You ain't ever lied. Lord, help the lost. LOL. Well, you know what? The Lord has abandoned these ones. That's for sure.
That mean I couldn't get a Texas driver's license. I was stuck with that Louisiana driver's license, right? So anyway, the door-to-door sales gig went down. The dude that owned the company.
Listen to me. It's amazing how she can stretch the story this long. LGBTQ is trendy. It's trendy for everyone to be gay right now. It's trendy. And so she's hopped on the bandwagon, all while having a whole husband and a child from heterosexual intercourse and relationship. Somebody tell me I ain't preaching gospel.
Then I started trying to take that concept and do door-to-door sales, pushing some multi-level marketing
She said multi-level marketing. Have we not all heard that multi-level marketing is a scam? Bitch out here selling Herbalife to people, huh? She out here selling Cutco knives to people. Have we not all heard multi-level marketing is a scam? And also, why is it that as she's getting older in age, she's not improved her skill set or achieved more education such that she could get a proper job? And there are people and organizations that hire veterans in particular, but she can't be hired as a veteran because she was dishonorably discharged. Dishonorably. And that is a representation of her character, which is dishonorable.
Organo gold stuff, right?
Right.
Because it was real bad for me. It was bad for me.
Damn, 40 minutes of negativity. It was bad for me. I ain't had no money. I was in them streets. I was sleeping on a nigga couch. It was bad for me. There was a dark cloud over me. And when I escaped slavery, I just escaped with the clothes on my back, one tattered shirt on my back. I wasn't even wearing drawers, if I'm being honest with you. It was just one wholly tattered shirt. It was supposed to be a white shirt. By the time I got through the Underground Railroad and the dogs was chasing me through the river, and I made it out, I was just wearing one tattered shirt. It was brown and dirty and soggy, but I had my freedom. I followed the North Star and I got my freedom. Like this bit right here, boy. She know how to twist some tails, I tell you.
And I ain't really had no help. Like, it was so bad. Like, my aunt called my brother not to help me, but to see how bad I was doing.
I know how that is. Yeah. I know exactly.
That's funny as hell. She said my aunt called my brother. Now, mind you, she's alluding to the fact that her brother at that time was taking care of her, but she won't admit that, right? So her brother's taking care of her. She won't admit that. Then rather than saying, I'm thankful for my brother taking care of me, she's going to focus on the negative because she's a negative person. And she say, my aunt called my brother to see how bad it is. Ring, ring, ring. Hey, Dante, is Princella ugly ass over there still? What's she doing? Oh yeah, man. She living on my couch, and every morning she give motivational speeches to my kids and my wife, and they want her out of here. So, I'm just trying to figure out how to get this bitch out of here. What? She still thinking she a motivational speaker and she live on the goddamn couch? That's crazy. Yeah, man. And she out here doing drugs too. What drugs she doing? Anything that'll get you high, anything that's cheap, mostly fentanyl. Oh, I thought she was on meth because I saw her teeth like she got meth mouth. I thought she was on meth. She on fentanyl, huh? Yeah, man, she on fentanyl. I think she be sniffing glue too when we be gone. She probably on crack because she wake up real early around like 4 a.m. every day and leave like she got a job, but she ain't got a job though. So yeah, I think she's probably on crack. 4 a.m., huh? She just get up at 4 a.m. and just leave, huh? Come on, man. This is the kind of broad we dealing with. Everybody's evil. Everyone's bad. Everyone's out to get her. Lord, I would not want to hire a person like this. And this is why racism persists. You heard me? Imagine you're an employer. You're a white guy. You hire a black person. You try to give them an opportunity. And then they do something like falsifying documents like this broad. Then you got to fire her. And then all of a sudden, you're the bad guy for firing them. You're a racist white guy for firing them. Like, hold up. I'm racist. God damn it. Did you forget you falsified some documents? You lying dirtbag.
How that is, but go ahead. Yeah.
So I met this guy doing door-to-door, selling that. He's like, oh, you got some skills. You got some skills. I like you to help me I'm a musician. I like to make a long story short. And I start putting the show together. Right. And with this show,
lie number 509,084 billion. This bitch said I was doing door-to-door. No. Follow me. This individual says she was doing door-to-door sales. While doing door-to-door sales, she meets a man who says, I'm a musician. Now, mind you, ladies, if you ever want to know, is a guy broke? A great way to know if he's broke is he starts off a sentence saying, I'm a musician or I'm a rapper. That means they're broke. Okay, there you go, ladies. You're welcome to have some free game for you. So she's like, yeah, I was doing door-to-door sales and I met this man. He said, I'm a musician. So he said, I like your business skills. So after that, I'm putting on this show. So you're telling me you're doing a low-level ass sales job. Guy claims to like your business skills, which he was able to ascertain that because you're doing the lowest level possible low paid job. Okay, that's strange. Then you go from hi, nice to meet you, to now I'm putting on a show. How can anyone believe this shit? Like, none of this happens in real life. It doesn't even sound at all like at any level true.
It was a blues show, and I got the personality, and I was new. You gotta understand. I'm new in Houston.
Oh my!
I don't really know nothing about Houston because I only
So I'm brand new in this city. I just walk up to a guy trying to sell him some motherfucking Cutco knives, and he says, "Hey, bitch, do you sing blues? Nope. Do you know anything about Houston? Nope. Do you have any background that I should know of that's relevant? Nope. Okay, great. I'd like to hire you to run a blues show." What the fuck are we talking about here?
door-to-door sales for like 8 months. The rest of the time was with this music thing. I hooked up and found the venue. I connected with the musicians here. I put a whole blues show together, linking up with people all over Houston without knowing anything about the city.
Right.
I have never seen someone do things that are so basic and just be so proud. I need to start bragging more. Shout out to Princella. I need to start bragging more. And the amazing thing is that people have the nerve to periodically, some jealous ones, they'll say, oh, you're so arrogant. I probably should be arrogant. No, really, I should be. When you actually think about it, she's bragging over having accomplished shit. No, really, I need to be more arrogant. I'll tell you why I should probably be more arrogant, because, when I was born, my mother was on crack cocaine. I'm an actual crack baby. Number one, I'd say that's a disadvantage. My father was in prison doing a long bid. I say that's probably a disadvantage. I was born into a violent ghetto. Then, due to my mother being on drugs, I had to live with my grandmother, who had dementia, meaning she wasn't all there mentally. I say that's a disadvantage. I went to a school that was taken over by the state of California for underperformance. I say that's a disadvantage. And then through all of that, while also selling drugs since age 12, I was able to finesse and make my way into Berkeley. Superior IQ. 3rd grade, I was tested as gifted and talented. That's an IQ test. That's verified. That's not made up like people like Princella. And then I damn near got a perfect score on the SAT, sailed into Berkeley at age 18 as a junior, and then completed a bachelor's degree in 3 years while founding a fraternity, and then went on to Johns Hopkins. So I'd say I probably should be like, and then founded multiple corporations, and then made a whole bunch of money, and then lived around the whole fucking world. Yeah, I probably should be bragging a lot more, right? You see, I've done big shit that you can't find anyone else that's done the shit I've done. But this bitch is bragging over the most common everyday stuff. Yeah, I put on a blues show, baby. Like I called people around Houston and I got them to come and sing the blues. So I put on a blues show. She says it like twice to give it impact. I put on a blues show. Bitch, are you crazy? Like, you are doing the most basic stuff. If you've even done, I don't even believe she's done any of the things she's saying, but they're still so basic. Even if she did do it, it's not worth bragging about. Now, what you should brag about is when you're a black guy being hosted by the Korean government, then the Chinese government, then the government of Puerto Rico, and they're all giving you grants because they want you. You should brag about that.
And it was a success, but guess what? Just like the first dude that I was helping, same exact thing happened with this dude. Guess what? God. He started getting jealous. He started talking about, oh, you trying to take over my project because I'm.
Now, we all know that this is a lie. And one thing that I have observed, you see, I have the good fortune. I've never been in a romantic relationship and felt the need to lay my hands on a chick. I've had chicks that tried to get me to do it. Actually, just one, honestly, one black chick from Atlanta tried to get me to whoop her ass. I wouldn't do it. I actually ended the relationship right then and there. I was like, shorty, you have a problem. You dig? And it turned out once I was able to Dr. Phil her that her ex used to kick her ass. And I knew perfectly why. Like, she tried to get me to do it. And I was like, nah, that's not in me. I don't beat bitches' ass. That's not my thing. You can find one of these other suckers to do it. But the point is, when she's stating that these guys felt like she was competing with them, trying to take over their stuff, and she also was a woman who consistently got into relationships where guys used to kick her ass, I'm wondering if maybe she was doing things to try to upset the relationship and upset the balance such that she would cause conflict because she's a dysfunctional person. I get the sense that that is the case. Furthermore, observe the lies. If she has so much business acumen, why is it she's never the founder of a business? Like, I don't know, me, for example. Why is she never the founder of a business? Why is it that she's always joining someone else's business if she's so fucking smart? She's a liar. And all she amounts to is the same thing as a fucking Burger King employee who's like, why do I only make $10 an hour? And this Burger King right here makes $30,000 a day. because you are the fucking French fry guy, dummy. You only make $10 an hour because your ass is dropping French fries in a fucking pot of grease all day. And that is not a very valuable thing. We can get anyone to do that, dummy. So she's the person who keeps coming in to help others in their business. The person who runs the business, they take the risk. They have the big brain. You're a fucking dimwit. You're a cog in the system. Be appreciative that they even let your raggedy ass help.
I'm doing everything, right? And he wanted to be the center of attention. It wasn't until I was too far in it to realize that he didn't want to do the show because he liked, just like wanted to do music. I find out he got beef with people in the city and that he want to showboat on people and try to put
this is weird as hell. This bitch be making up the most strange stories. She's saying that a nigga wanted to floss by doing a blues show. How old was this nigga? Was this nigga 84? Who in the fuck flosses on other people by doing a blues show? I guess I've been getting this shit all wrong. Wearing custom clothes from head to toe, hopping out of $250,000 cars, different ones day after day. Guess I've been doing this shit wrong, eating at Michelin restaurants and flying to Monaco and then Dubai and balling the fuck out. I guess I've been doing it wrong. What a doofus this broad is. Anyway, shout out to Matthew, comes in by PayPal. He writes, tuition. Thank you for your guidance. Also, Zerka was in Las Vegas last night. Zerka, why don't you holla at your boy? Zerka, why don't you holla at me, fam? You scary ass. Boy, I break your jaw, man. Don't be walking around my city without announcing yourself, man. We catch you. You might wait, actually, I guess I probably shouldn't say any of this. That was for entertainment purposes only. I take it back.
This big event together to say, look at me, look what I did. So because I'm the one having to put everything together, right? Get all of the musicians, and I'm the logistics person doing
it. Her whole story is about how she got done wrong. Good Lord.
Across the street from my brother. He stalked my brother's apartment to the point that my brother was getting uncomfortable. And I was leaving to go to work because I had just found a job, right? But I'd be back into that job.
Broad, how many jobs has this hoe had? I mean, the real question is how many times has she been fired, right? That's the real question. She seems to have a lot of jobs. That's not a good sign. When you go and apply for a job, it's not a good sign if you have a resume that's littered with random jobs you've had for like 2 weeks, 1 month at a time. There's a term for that. It's called, it's escaping me at the moment, but it's essentially, has trouble respecting authority. That's her issue. She has trouble respecting authority. She has oppositional defiance disorder. That's what she has.
Job thing, because there was some stuff in there that's important about that job. But I was leaving, and my brother called me on the phone. He was like, "Where your license plate at?" What you mean? I get out the car, both my license plates gone, front and the back. Okay, so then I leave and I come back.
What is this bitch talk? Like, what is this interview even about? Shout out to the internet bringing all these, making these frauds famous. This is the dumbest fucking interview. Shout out to Jay Vice. He writes, homegirl looked like the NBA all-time leader in triple doubles, Russell Westbrook. She also looks like Plies as well. Shout out to Russell. She does look like Russell. That's crazy. Wow. Shout out to Darius and came back. He writes, number one, cheesecake email sent to Marquette. Torial support. Did receive it. And shout out also to Jason. I got that from you. He writes, thoughts on Robert F. Smith's ventures. If it makes money, it's a good venture. If you're in paper assets, if you're in software, these are higher growth opportunities. And when we say paper assets, is quite far reaching. If you're an investor, you're allowing money to work for you. This is something you typically have to do when you have a significant amount of money, which most people don't, which is why I try not to talk much about that, because that's not how most people are going to get off of the ground financially. He writes, thoughts on Robert F. Smith's talks on the need for economic justice. I think it's nonsense. And the 2% solution to structural racism in America. I think a smarter approach, rather than focusing on racism, is focusing on not displaying what racists accuse us of, right? For example, we put up a Charleston White and a Princella as representatives of Black people. Well, no wonder we look despicable. We listen to athletes and musicians for political opinions, black athletes and musicians. Well, no wonder we look foolish. So writing things in the culture is a primary thing. And then also having basic training and enculturation for the blacks is more important than trying to control what others think and say about us. I appreciate that question. Shout out to P2 Wave. He writes, when does she become a mall shoe cleaner? Damn, that's one of her jobs. It's been done it all, boy. Shout out to Chemical coming in, supporting the work. Truly appreciate it.
For my first day of work, and the security guards stopped me at the front gate, and they say, you can't come in here. I say, why? So-and-so said you stole his license plates and you ain't on the lease at your brother's house, so you can't stay here. So I'm in a city. I'm in a city that I'm not familiar with, and my brother is my only family. So now
she seemed to be living off of her brother a lot without saying thank you. And this is really symptomatic of women today. I can't tell you how many times a woman has been with me and as a result of just being in my presence gets a lot of favors and free stuff and then somehow forgets to say thank you. It's like they become immune to it so quickly, and they're so entitled as well. It's sad. It really is. And this doesn't occur with men, because men, we're thankful for everything that we get because we don't get any handouts. Whereas women, oh man, they take it all for granted. A lot of times they take it all for granted.
I'm living on the streets.
Again, God.
With nowhere to go.
Again, listen, I don't know how many times a motherfucker can be homeless. It's almost like she likes it. She's been homeless so many times. Like that's extraordinary. Her story has gone between two phrases consistently. It's gone between I didn't have no money. I ran out of money. I needed some money. I got to give me some money. It's gone between that and I was back on the streets. I was homeless. I ain't had nowhere to live. I was living on the asphalt. It's gone between those two things consistently. Lord Jesus, she's a bad decision maker. And she's a bad judge of character, because clearly she keeps on engaging with people who are low. But understand this. We've all heard birds of a feather flock together. She herself is a scammer. She herself falsified documents to the government, got kicked out of the military. So all we're seeing is that she is being confronted with those who are like her. And somehow she's pointing out their flaws without pointing out her own. He writes, that story is BS. All you have to do is report your plate stolen. Right? Exactly.
All right. And luckily I just got a job, but getting that job was very hard because I didn't have a Texas driver's license.
Right.
That is nonsense. No one hires based on your driver's license unless your job is to drive.
I'm between a rock and a hard place.
Your whole life.
I was told to go back to this other dealership because a chick that I was working with at the time, she wanted to go work at this particular dealership because her friend.
Damn, she got the longest stories. I don't know where any of these are going. And this boy ain't putting no titles on the chapters. And I think it's hard because she doesn't talk about anything in particular. The bitch just rambling.
Say, you sharp. You'll be successful no matter where you go. And
okay, she loves to compliment herself, but so far in this narration of her entire life, she's only been alternating between I ain't got no money to I'm homeless. But she keeps on insisting that she's sharp.
The other job that I thought I was going to have, they didn't hire me.
Shocker.
And they just said, you did everything right. We just ain't hiring right now, which right. I knew was bogus. I know it was bogus, but okay. Or I'm taking like 5 steps back at this time. It's like I can't get ahead no matter how much work I put in.
Yeah, she's a complainer.
So I went on ahead. I was convinced to go ahead and go back and see that guy. And I just walked in there and I say, look, man, I say, I got a Louisiana driver's license.
Here we go with this driver's license.
I've never seen I've never sold a car before. Right. I did door-to-door sales.
Damn, are we still on this car shit? She didn't mention that like 30 minutes ago. She keeps retelling stories. Her life has such little content in it that she's retelling stories. You see, I could talk for as long as she's been talking just on one segment of my life, and it'll be linear. Hey, I'll tell you when I opened an office in Springfield, Missouri. Give you a story, meaningful story. I can tell you when I opened an office in Erie, Pennsylvania. Give you a story. I can tell you when I moved to this city and opened an office. Meaningful story. This is basically going back and forth. I was homeless. I needed money. I was homeless. I got fired. I needed money. I was homeless. I got fired again. I needed money. I was sleeping on a nigga couch. I was homeless again. I got fired. I needed money.
Right. And then I will go wait until the service department open. Right. Because the service department opened at 7 o'clock in the morning. So when the techs open, come in to open the door to prep to open at 7, I would go through there, and then I would go to the sales room, and I would turn on all of the computers, and I would turn on all these different tests, and I had all of them running at the same time.
Right.
And I would do all of them, and I would do them all day, and I would stay from early in the morning to as late as they were open, and sometimes the last customer wouldn't leave till. Yeah. So there was 10 days left in the month. In my first month, I sold 9 cars in my first 10 days. Right. I was so good.
I was so good. Loves congratulating herself. I was so good.
Deaf customers came in there. Nobody in the dealership could speak sign language, and these deaf customers wanted a car. Princella sold them.
Just like that.
Just like that, because I knew a little bit of sign language.
Oh shit! This bitch is she telling tall tales. I want the next person who interviews this bitch just to be like, wait, hold on 1 second, Princella. Tell me that in sign language. As soon as she says some shit, I want to be like, hold on. Tell me that in sign language. Did this broad just say that she speaks sign language? I'm out on this bit.
A little bit of sign language when I was
about to ask you. You got on the ground and just learned sign language. Like
I did, and that's who they.
So her story is that a deaf customer came in, and then she immediately learned sign language and then sold them a car. She not a liar? Come on.
And I sold them a car. Everybody in the dealership was floored. Everybody, right? Because
she acted like deaf people are in aliens or something. They want to buy a car. They're gonna buy a car like anybody else. And in this era, they can just send you a damn text message. You can communicate back and forth on text. Come on now, stop it, please. Shout out to Mark. He writes, producer and writer of the movie Tobias Elvange. Thank you, appreciate you. It's a real one. Came in with that by a Cash App. Let me just go ahead and search that real quick. Let me see if I can find his LinkedIn. Okay. I think I found his LinkedIn, and we're gonna see if we can hit him up real quick. Okay, so we're sharing this tab. So this is the gentleman who produced that movie that basically is explaining, or shall we say, exposing the filthy works of grooming your children. So let's see. I help TV networks to produce and develop TV series. Okay, so this must be the same guy. All right, so let's go ahead and I want to include a message with that. Actually, I didn't want to follow my whatever. There we go. So may I interview you on YouTube? 100K subs. So you just get straight to the point. Nobody has time for BS. There we go. Boom. All right, great. So that's one effort that we've put in. That's an investment in goodness. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate you, Mark. Carrying on.
I got determination, and I'm going to always find a way out of no way. That's just what I do, right? And so, I focused my life on being a better me. I
think next time somebody interview me, I'm about to talk like Princella. I'm going to show up. I focused on making a way out of no way. I ain't saying shit factual though. I focused on making a way out of no way. And then I was homeless. And then I needed money. And then I got a job. Then I got fired from the job. So then I was homeless again. And I needed money again.
I don't compete with women. And they say, oh, well, you must compete with men. And it never crosses their mind that you can compete with yourself.
She thinks
You compete with yourself.
she thinks she's on some brilliant shit.
Even one.
This is the
This
Elon
bitch
Musk
dumb,
story
boy.
you're not being.
This broad is legitimately dumb. Oh my goodness. Shout out to Rob. He writes, Saints, what are your thoughts on the love that comes from women and the love that comes from men? It is said that women love as long as you give them some type of benefit to them, but men love who the woman is. I think the love that comes from women can be very pure, and that's going to be predicated on who you are and who you are to them. With regards to a man loving who a woman is, I mean, really, they should be loving the service that comes from a woman, but more importantly, they should be respecting it. A man really should operate on the exchange of respect. Women get into love, and love is a bit more of a fuzzy, hard to define thing. A woman can love you but not respect you, which means that they can love you and disrespect you at the same time. So that is of concern. That's why I always focus on making sure that they know how to show and demonstrate respect. But simply put, the love experience and the way you communicate love is different for a male and a female. There's no doubt about that. And a man who is wise in a relationship is focused not on will the woman love me, she will. You need to focus on will she respect you and also convey the respect in appropriate ways. And the woman will change over time, but hopefully that service stays consistent at some level. And that's what we need to focus on and appreciate most.
Listen, even one that owned his own business that was a millionaire, was already successful, was intimidated by me. And they all.
No one's intimidated by you. And this is the story that this woman who's been abused by men has. You see, so she's went from being the victim, the prey, and now she thinks she's intimidating men. Nuts, bonkers, wacko. If you're so intimidating, why didn't you intimidate the guys who used to beat your ass, right? Why didn't you intimidate them? You see, that's one thing that my mother used to say, when she would observe a coward or cowardice behavior. She would say, oh, you're big and bad with so-and-so. Well, why weren't you big and bad with so-and-so? You were big and bad here, be big and bad there. If you're going to be big and bad, always be big and bad. And that's a good fact. That's a good piece of advice. So if you were so intimidating to men, why didn't you intimidate them boys who was whooping your ass? Because you're not intimidating. You're not intimidating to men. It's a false narrative. And what you're doing is you're providing these fake ass stories, making women who have been in the same position of victim that you've been in feel empowered, but it's a false empowerment. And rather than trying to intimidate men, you should rather try to figure out what's wrong with you such that you consistently choose the wrong men. What's wrong with you that you consistently stay in the company of low people. But there will be no self-reflection. And that is why, gentlemen, I advise you that these individuals are not worth conversation. They're not worth debate. They're not worth being in relationships with. They're only worth marginalizing. These are the people we should be removing, eliminating, silencing. There's nothing good that will come from them. And they're broken. They're dented cans. When you go into a grocery store, I remember this back in the day when I was a young ball. You go into Food for Less, you find them dented cans. Yes, I grew up in poverty. You find those dented cans. My mother would grab those dented cans and she would, take them up to the front and say, hey, this can has a dent on it. And they say, oh, we'll give you 30 cents off on that. Fantastic. Why? Because it's less valuable. But here's the thing. We only took those dented cans because we couldn't have it our way. We were in poverty. But a man who is successful, a man who is of value, you don't need to deal with those dented cans. Leave those for the broke boys. Leave those for the losers, the degenerates, the people who are immoral. You want a woman who is in good shape, untouched, pure, fresh water.
Same exact thing. So it didn't matter if they was older. Right? I dated them my age until they had 2 toes in the grave. Right? I dated them at my financial level and more money than me.
Now say that. Hold on, run that back because I'm kind of slow. You dated your age till they had 2 toes in the grave.
Yeah.
And then the gap in between her eyebrows is way too much. Ugliness is of the devil. You heard me? Ugly. This is of the devil. This broad is a spawn of Satan. Shout out to Jamal. He writes, just got my sources of power canvas. Shout out to the real ones. You dig? He writes, moving into my new place now and have to decide exactly where to put it up. Too cold to not be seen by anyone who steps foot in here. Peace to the saints. Oh, indeed. And I have my sources of power canvas right here. And it is a masterpiece. It is a nice, simple way of explaining where one can get power. And let us be real. We all want to have power, if only in our home. So it's a good piece of instruction. And thank you. And for those who are wise and want to hang things on your walls that are good reminders, that are inspirational, that are good guides, you can get that at sasnbrand.com.
Well, I mean, that might be some Louisiana. I mean, that's some old ass man. Or
that's old. Yeah, my ex-husband is 60. He just turned 63 today.
I was gonna get into that, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. She said her ex-husband turned 63 today. So let's be honest here. Was she dating him because she wanted him? Or remember what she used to say? I needed some money. I was homeless. I needed money. And then I was homeless again. I lived in the streets. I was homeless. She dated that man because she needed money. That's called usury. She was using him. She dated that old ass 63-year-old senior citizen because she was using him for money. But she's not going to say that right now, is she? She's not going to say that. Here's the link for those who want to get the sources of power canvas. She was using him for money. Now, here's the funny thing to the narrative that Black women also often want to suppress. I shouldn't say Black women. I should say these hair-hatted hooligans. They want to suppress the true reasons that their arguments against the passport bros are errant. Now, mind you, I'm not a passport bro. I'm a super player. You dig? But they say, oh, you're going to go abroad and you're going to be used by some poor third world girl for your money. Very possible. But it's much worse to be used by some ugly man-faced, bone-faced, Neanderthal-looking Russell Westbrook clone, knockoff Plies, hair-hatted hooligan, receded hairline, male pattern baldness broad. Much worse to be used by that. She ugly and broke. That's a bad motherfucking combination. I'd much rather go to Colombian and get a broke beauty than deal with a broke-ass chick that damn near looked like a man. That's just me, though. Huh? Broad is a user.
Because I'm listening to it, and these are things that, you know, on both sides, you know, people, this is the thing that a lot of people are having issues with, is finding a partner. Because
this boy weird, finding a partner. Anybody looking for a goddamn partner? Looking for a woman or a man? Mark writes, did you enjoy the new intro beat I sent? What? Let me see what you sent, bruh. See what you got, bruh. I missed it, so I gotta check it out right now. Okay. Let me see what we got here. And sent some beats. Shout out to Mark. He actually has great beats. There have been a multitude of people who have sent beats, but there have not been a multitude of fire beats. There have been a multitude of beats sent, but there have not been a multitude of fire beats. All right, here we go. Let me see what we got here. I don't know if you
see, as a man, you do what you want to do.
I do, yes.
But again, I mean,
can you guys hear this?
You're better than me because I cannot do that. I
right.
Can do that.
Agree. Yeah. And there's a lot of things that I do that a lot of people couldn't do. Let's go. Hey, let me know if you guys can hear this beat. I need one more person to verify they can hear this beat. I need one more person to verify. Right? Yeah. I do what they can do. Hey. Man, I do what they can't do. Maybach talk, Rolls Royce thoughts. I ain't gonna get into it. I'm about to hit y'all with this. I'm about to hit y'all with this boss talk. Y'all ain't ready for this, you dig? Hey, I ain't doing it. Let's go, though. Let's go. Yeah, we're gonna use that for something. I likes that in a real way. Why niggas be hating like that though? Listen, look at it. He writes trash beat. Now here's the thing. All right, say you don't like the beat, right? You don't like the beat. Fine. You don't like the beat. What in your mind makes you feel the need to express unconstructive hate? Like, how can we utilize what you're saying? Like, okay, so you shared your negative opinion, but how is it constructive? Can we use it for something? Did you say, hey, Marquette, that beat sucks, but I got a fire beat. I just emailed you. Check it out. That would be even more constructive. Or, hey, Marquette, that beat sucks. I would improve it by changing the drum pattern. Or, hey, Marquette, that beat sucks. Like, fill in the blank with something we can use. This is not what I teach. This right here, I don't teach that. That is low, my boy. And I don't say that to hurt your feelings or anything. I say that just like, be saintly. What growth came from what you said? You got a guy who went out to do something good to make a contribution to another person. And here you are just detracting with your word. This is why I feel compelled to come on the internet, because these are things your parents should teach you, and they don't know clearly. It's fine. My parents didn't even teach me this, but I'm here because this is an important part of civilization. What's the contribution here? And we've all said things without thinking, all of us, many times. But I'm just encouraging you, think before you speak, please. In fact, I think I might have an infographic on that. And if I don't, someone remind me. I need to make it an infographic because that needs to go on a lot of people's walls, including my own.
Relationships.
And thank you for that beat.
You do as well.
By the way, Mark, thank you for that beat. I like that. It got some good bounce to it.
Replay the highlights on these men, and I know hindsight is 20/20.
Right.
And this is what I say when I talk to women, when I have sessions with women and we talk about their relationships and things like that. Did you see initially the quality of this man being like, okay, this is the type of guy? Did you just go in there with,
nigga, she went in for the money, quit bullshitting. She said, I needed money. I lived on the streets and then I was broke and I got a job. Then I got fired. So I needed money again. And I lived in the streets and then I was broke. Then I had a job. Then I got fired again. Nigga, she got in the relationship for the money. Come on, bro.
They got you. They flipped the script. And that's what happened with my husband, right? Like, even like I told him, I said, well, I do social media, because at this time I was just doing Facebook.
What's the time frame for this? Because I know I just want to have people.
2017. This is 2017.
So did you get married in 2017?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
2017. Okay.
And that marriage was short.
Right.
That was a short marriage.
So
media, you were saying.
yeah. So actual decision, right? If you don't have real time information, right? And you make a decision, he seemed to be accepting that I was a social media person. But guess what? He tried to get me to stop once he got me on fly, right? You can't.
Yeah, if that was the case, though, why'd you get pregnant, though? That's what I'm trying to figure out. It's like really strange.
You can't come and take somebody and then try to own them and smother them.
Alter them.
Yeah. You accept people for who they are. The problem is people have
Shorty, how are you going to say accept me for who I am, but you don't know who you are? You got into a relationship with a man. Now you're claiming that you're a lesbian. You got into a relationship with a male. Now you're claiming you're a lesbian and you're saying accept me for who I am. You don't know who you are. Love, you don't know who you are. It's unreal.
Experience now and enough wisdom to see through a person and who they are before you even open your mouth, right?
How about before you even open your legs, dear? You opened your legs, got pregnant, and carried the baby to term, and now you're complaining about him in the fourth quarter.
I'm at the point now where I don't need a relationship because I don't need nothing from a man. I don't need your money, right? Whew, that.
Notice how she started off with that. That's why she got with him. Money. And the truth is, when women are speaking against the passport bros, what they're really doing is they're trying to eliminate their competition because they're competing for your money. So if you go abroad and you get your beautiful women in Ukraine or what have you, then you're going to be allocating your resources to her, which means that these dumb broads in America aren't going to get it. And surely the guys that are in retrograde economies can't provide for these broads. So they're going to be alone with their PhDs and their A+ in biology, suffering. engaging with their power tools, lonely and angry. And that's why they're arguing against the passport bros, because they don't want the competition for your money.
That mess a man up when you don't need his money. Because see, what I found out about men need women. It's like
You're right, but women don't need men. That's why you guys don't call the police when you feel that threat, huh? And lesbians have a 75% divorce rate. So clearly they're not doing any better than us. They're in fact doing worse. And their rates of domestic violence are very high. All things we should think twice about.
will he be able to manipulate her to get his own needs met? Because a lot of men cannot stand alone. They can't be alone.
Stop it. Men can live alone just fine. It's a less than ideal state. I wouldn't recommend it. But you see, here's a difference between a man living alone. A man can live alone in the house, completely safe and secure. A woman lives alone in the house. She feels paranoid. I remember I would observe when I'd come home from university, my mother would have a golf club behind the door. She'd have a hammer under her bed. She doesn't feel safe, and she shouldn't really, because you're always knowing that you are weak and someone could come into your house and overcome you. So no, women cannot live alone or live safe, and they never will be able to do that, for it is ordained that they be under the protection and influence of a man. Yes, indeed. And we shall return things to that state.
It can't take the focus off of women. Every time you hear a man talk, all he talking about is woman, 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 woman. And the reason why he ain't personally developed, because he ain't spending enough time talking about what he need to do to better himself.
See, this doesn't make sense, because the entire industry of self-improvement was founded and dominated today and in the past by men. And in fact, all of the persons whom she ever references with regards to knowledge are all males. And so we see consistently that she is making up things. She is creating an alternate reality. And the sad thing is that commonly these persons are so sick that they think they can rewrite history. But sadly, you can make up lies to the youth, because the youth, they're ignorant, they're inexperienced, and they've not seen a lot. For example, even the truth can sound like a lie. I remember when my grandmother told me that a hamburger used to be 10 cents. And I remember thinking, Grandma, you're nutty than a motherfucker. How's a hamburger 10 cents? A hamburger is 99 cents. And when I was a young boy, second grade, a Whopper was 99 cents. And here's the funny thing. A Whopper then is bigger than a Whopper today. I kid you not. Not only have they reduced the size of the Whopper, they have also increased the price. And just as if I told a young person today that, a Whopper used to be 99 cents, they're like, what? A Whopper's $3. Exactly. You see, and because things have changed so much, and because young people have seen so little, it's easy to lie to them and to make up things. And so she is one of those liars who's making up a history that never occurred. And then she's spreading that, and she'll be able to fool some people, but not all of the people. You can, as they say, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but not all of the people all of the time. And she is spreading corruption among the youth, and it is upon us to erect the forces that will destroy her and vanquish this demon. And she is one of a chorus of demons. You dig?
When I was going through that stuff, the last thing on my mind was getting in a damn relationship to have somebody help me. I did all that by myself.
Stop.
So let's segue here.
Yeah.
So you're a stellar salesman at this point. 2012, 2013, you're like 26. I guess you were saying about around 26.
Yeah, somewhere around there, yeah.
So you're having these relationships, and you're noticing that these guys are taking. Outside, when you meet your ex-husband, when you meet him initially, what was so different about him? And was it, do you say it was his representative that kind of got you?
Well,
or what was it? What do you?
No, I sense that he, but by him being the age that he is, because now we're dealing with a 26 years, about a relationship and how it's supposed to go. And he wanted me to stay at home and be a stay-at-home mom, right? And be a slave. I couldn't do nothing. Like I lost. I was no longer the person that I was before I met him, right?
And this didn't happen until after you got married.
Right. This did not happen after, right. This did not happen after I got married. And so I was expected to change everything about me. I literally started sinking into a depressive state because I couldn't be me.
Oh, it's everyone else's fault. It's always someone else. It's never you. You got depressed because your husband wouldn't let you be you. So were you so stupid that you rushed into marriage? I think there's a saying, in fact, a song even said, fools rush in. Yes, fools rush in. None of us should rush into marriage. In fact, the entire concept when people get married and they say the first year is the hardest, why? Why would the first year be the hardest unless you didn't know that person well enough before you decided to formalize your bond, especially in the eyes of the government? Huh? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense there. I acknowledge players on TV, support the work. Also, shout out to the ballers. Shout out to Don Hill supporting the work. You dig? Carrying on.
Right? You don't want me to. You got a problem with me doing YouTube, right? And I'm a business person, right? During this time when I had a baby, right?
How are you a business person? You've created a grand total of 0 businesses, but you're a business person. Stop it. Please stop it.
Pregnant the same year, but then I had to sit down, right? Because I got sick. I couldn't drive no more, right? So when I got pregnant, I had to sit down. That's when I wrote my book, The 5 Components of Love, right? But not only did I write a book, I taught myself how to do real estate.
Hold on. We're reading about love from a divorcee. We're reading about love from a chick who like is a street woman. That doesn't sound quite right to me. Of all the people we could learn about love from, I'd say like that's the person I don't want to learn about love from the failure. That's like learning about basketball from the guy who didn't make it into the NBA. I want to learn about basketball from Jordan, you dig? Like the successful basketball player. Why is it wherein relationships are concerned, we don't want to go to the real experienced and successful expert? We'd rather go to the person who's been screwing up. And I think a direct result, or rather that reveals much about human psychology, which is to say that we want someone, A, that we can identify with, and B, we want someone that doesn't make us feel less than, because our self-esteem is so low a lot of times, sadly. And then C, we want someone that, you know, it hasn't made it any farther than we have. Just one step ahead, maybe, or maybe they make things sound good. But if it was actually the person who won at it, then we'd start to feel inferior. We'd start to feel like we didn't do things right. We'd have to deal with the truth. And you know what? People hate the truth. Don't you ever forget that. Shout out to King Toon writes, peace of the Saints tuition. I appreciate that.
Okay. So I would sit down. I would, and this is no lie. Not only I would sit down for about 15 to 16 hours out of every day, and I taught myself how to wholesale contracts and how to work the MLS and how to work the foreclosure market. Right. I taught myself all that. And then I taught, not only that did I teach myself that, I also taught myself how to trade the stock market.
You taught yourself everything.
Foreign currencies and the stock, right? So I taught myself all of that. And he did not want to, like when he would come home after being in the oil field, because we worked in the oil field at the time, after he would come home, he didn't want to do none of the business. He was looking for me to do.
Now, here's the funny thing. She seems to have taught herself so many things. Well, then how is it that you spent just the majority of your life broke and homeless? If you were such an autodidact and so knowledgeable, skilled, and you're such an extraordinary human being, there's no evidence for it. Everything that she claims, there's no evidence for. Someone who's that bright, they could go to university and, like myself, get a 4-year degree in 3 years, maybe get a 4-year degree in 2 years. Why, with all those smarts, she couldn't complete a degree? Because she's an incompetent, inconsistent, dishonest person who's devoid of integrity. And everything she claims are things that cannot be verified. And every time she speaks of, people praising her, these people are nameless.
All of the business stuff and practically retire him, right? So he didn't want to be a partner with me in none of that. I started doing all of that stuff by myself. But after I taught myself how to do real estate, right? I within 2 weeks of getting out there to start flipping contracts, my very first deal, I popped $10,000 on my first deal, right? So I have an intern.
The day when we dropped him off, I asked him again. He said,
This broad is so good at giving herself credit. It's extraordinary. My first real estate deal I made $10,000. Okay, cool. So if you're so good at real estate, why are you trying to be a social media influencer? Somebody explain that to me, please.
I'm very masculine and got a masculine voice. What these guys don't
Very true.
realize
Buddy
is,
a troll. Buddy's a troll. He always in the chat. He a troll, but yeah, go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I do want to, but people say that though, right? So I do want to address that. Is that masculine energy is work. It is an action energy, work ethic, willpower, determination.
What
That's what
is she
masculine energy
talking
is.
about?
Masculine energy.
No, there's no such thing as masculine energy. How about this? How about we address the reality that masculine energy is not a thing? Masculine energy is a made up concept. You know, you're dealing with women or you're dealing with idiots when you're hearing people talk about things that are intangible, things that are feelings based, things that are, like so out in the sky. Energy, chakras, vibes, feelings. It's all nonsense. The hell are you talking about? Masculine energy.
Is a moving, working.
Now here she going into this hoopla type focus.
You would have liked him to partner with you.
Yeah, because I'm doing all of the work, right?
Here she is again talking about like how she's doing all the work. All these men are lazy. All these male business owners are lazy. She's the hard worker, but never once does she create her own business. And we see this consistently as her story, and it's not adding up.
So he wasn't even paying all the bills. I would have to help pay some of the bills. So I was taking care of the baby. I was doing all of that, right? And then when he would come in, he wouldn't even think about what I needed. He'll come in, drop his bags, and walk right out and go get his haircut and all that.
Oh, this is a lazy piece of trash, bitch. She just said when he comes home from his job, he doesn't think about what I needed. Let me warn you all. If you ever deal with a woman like that, she is garbage. Any broad that sits at home and then when you get home, she's concerned with you being concerned with her. You see, there was a home economics course that a lot of Americans used to take, and this course has been removed from the schools. And we see in parallel, there's been a decline in quality of women and quality of relationships and length of marriage and quality of marriage. Home economics used to teach females how to be a proper woman, how to be a wife. And a part of those lessons is when your man comes home, don't nag him, don't complain, figure out what he's been through, make the house comfortable. He's been out earning the roof that is over your head, dear. These selfish women been sitting on her ass at home because English proverb goes, and this is true, that there is only an hour that separates a good wife from a bad wife, which is to say an hour of maintaining the house, do a little bit of cleaning, do a little bit of meal prep. It's an hour that separates a lazy broad from a good wife. You've been at home in the comfort of your house. He's come home from a war to earn, competing with other men, trying to make something, trying to make a name, trying to make a fortune. And then he gets home and you've been at your house in a controlled environment and you want to talk about how you feel and what you've been up to, bitch, stop.
That while I've been there slaving with, and men don't comprehend this. It's like they just expect a woman to just be running to the ground and be happy with that. And I was miserable with that, right?
That's because you're lazy. You know what? I want you all to know that she is lazy, and lazy women are a major problem. And it's not like they're uncommon. Lazy women are all over the place, and they're the ones that always have the complaints. They're unproductive, and they feel offended when you ask them to produce something. Lazy women are an extraordinary burden to a man. It's the type of employee that wants to, get paid without working. They want benefits without making any contribution. Avoid them at all cost.
I couldn't take it no more, right? And
so he wasn't. I guess what I'm getting from you is that, and I'm not trying to be a therapist, psychologist. I'm just asking you a question.
Yeah, because I don't need no therapy.
Yes, you do.
No, for sure.
You do.
I'm just thinking from a man's perspective as you telling me about this. So it sounded like from what you're telling me, he wasn't there for you emotionally. He would just come home from work and just
and he would be upset because I have all of these goals and dreams, and you want me to just sit and be some picture perfect housewife.
So you're gonna go and have a marriage and then have a baby, but then you want to be focused on your goals and dreams. That's called selfish, dear. You see, that's the very reason I don't have children, is because I still have a lot of things to accomplish. I still need to fly around the world. I need to identify where we're going to create this campus. I need to allocate tremendous amounts of money to this campus. I need to design it and build it up. I need to organize humankind. I have things that I need to do such that it would not be appropriate for me to have children, because that would be, when you have a child, that's when you need to invest in that child. The child needs to be your priority. When you choose to have a child, you are giving up your hopes and dreams, and your hopes and dreams become the child. This dumb broad has a young child is over here talking about what she wants for herself. Amazing. Come on now.
That's not who I am. I don't
Right.
want to
Being considerate of others, that's not who I am. Being competent enough to keep a job, that's not who I am.
sit in there and watch TV. I don't watch TV, right?
Right.
I'm a go-getter.
Stop it.
And I'm struggling. I'm doing the best that I can to still try to be a go-getter.
You're a go-getter, but you're broke 99.9% of your fucking life. That doesn't even add up. How are you a go-getter when you're an adult broke? How does anyone believe this stuff? How?
Being trapped in a cage.
And he knew this. He knew
He
this
knew
before he
this,
married. Before you
He
married.
knew this before he married me. We
Okay.
talked about it.
Okay.
And then my life changed. And just all that stuff changed. And everything that was said was not true. It was just a lot of stuff that wasn't true that he told me going in that I ended up having to deal with, right? I made sure, like, finance wise, we supposed to be solid. You say you ain't got no debt or nothing. Soon after you marry, I get a bill in the mail talking about $6,000 owed to the IRS, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like
He might have forgot. You know what I'm saying?
Now, here's the funny thing. You got a broke bitch getting mad at her husband and the father of her children for having a debt to the IRS when she repeatedly has said, I needed money. I was homeless. I needed money. I was in the streets. I was homeless. So you're a broke bitch with nothing to contribute, getting mad at a man who put a roof over your head.
Here's discrepancy in the tax return.
Hey, whatever. Being single, I ain't got to deal with none of that.
Right.
I don't have to negotiate with you. I ain't got to ask you for nothing. I ain't got to walk on. I don't have to walk light on your ear.
See, this is the kind of woman you'd be cursed to have to deal with. For she gets with you when she's in disrepair, when she's broke, and as soon as she gets on her feet, then she discards you. That's concerning. She is a user. You only have value in as much as you have the dollar. These are the ones you need to be aware of and be careful about. And then what's worse, you're going to have ugly kids on top of that. Good Lord. Everything. It's all bad. It's all bad. Sad.
Ego, I can be me and not concern myself with what you want to do. I ain't worried about that. I don't worry about that now. So I don't need, at this point, I have learned to fulfill my own needs. I have learned to be whole within myself. I don't need other people to make me whole. And everybody is right. They are right. I am too dominant for the average male.
You're not dominant. You used to get your ass kicked by a man. You're not dominant at all. You were homeless for much of your life. You're not dominant at all. You cannot dominate when you cannot control the basics of your life. You've never been an entrepreneur. You've never run a business. You've been dependent on employers. You've been dependent on your brother to give you a couch to crash. You've been dependent on men to put a roof over your head. You're not dominant. You're a pretender. You're a liar.
Average male is too weak for me to even be interested in, because I am not going to come down here to make you feel like a man because you can't match my energy. Because see, they always like to say, well.
Now, this is her healing. You see, YouTube for her is a therapy session, except she makes no progress in this therapy. She gets to express the self. This whole interview has been her venting and complaining all of her woes of her life. You'll notice consistently, like you can read my book, you can read about some of the challenges that beset me at my birth, circumstantial things that were not of my own making. But if you were to go through my YouTube catalog, you don't see me taking out time to lament over those things. Rather, you see me enjoying the best of life, and you see me working extraordinarily hard. This very fine suit I'm wearing right now, I was wearing yesterday. The last 4 days, I've worn the same suit 2 days in a row because I've been hustling that hard. Huh? This is a lazy woman. I can look at her and see it a mile away. No one labors intelligently and ends up consistently broke and homeless. She's lying. How do I know? I know because I've labored consistently and intelligently, and it has lifted me out of poverty and kept me out.
Like attracts like. You attract what you are. Okay, y'all want to say that? Then why ain't attracted a man that's more dominant than me? Huh? Why are you weak dudes who ain't accomplished the majority of the stuff that I accomplished?
Yeah.
I did in my 20s.
Right.
I did it.
Listen to her. She said the majority of the things I accomplished, I did in my 20s. Well, here's a funny thing. You haven't accomplished anything. Like, what have you accomplished? You haven't accomplished anything. You kept telling us a whole story about I was homeless, I was broke, I was homeless, I needed money, I was homeless, I was in the streets. So what are you talking about? What were your accomplishments? You don't even have a bachelor's degree. You've never run a business. You haven't made $1 million. The only time you start earning money was on YouTube talking to women who are dumber than you are. Talk to me.
Hey, Salute, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. Yeah, I just want to formally congratulate you, as I said, on that body. We do need people. We need more people speaking out against this foolery. It was a good look, for you to, take on this this banshee. And it's just really funny because I really wish during that massive slaughter that you would have had an opportunity to really dig in on that line of questioning with regard to when she was saying that, the fact that women need to have like kind of their own society, right? And you were asking her about the hegemon, which obviously she didn't know what a hegemon was.
Right.
And I really wish you would have had an opportunity to go further in that line of questioning, because therein would have been the Achilles heel of what she was trying to say. Because as you know, it's very simple to really break down why there was never a female hegemon. And that is because the moment you go beyond anything bigger than a family or a clan and you go off into, say, a tribe, right? You're going to have to get commiserate with that land. And that means you're bumping up against another man's territory. So if you have women who claim that they're going to have these matriarchal societies, you're going to bump into men who have been militaristically trained, who maybe comes from a line of warrior kings. And it all sounds fine and dandy when you're trying to build up this little feminine fiefdom until you run into Shaka Zulu and he brings the spears. So I really wish you would have had an opportunity to really dig in on that point. But unfortunately, she didn't know what a hegemon was, so you couldn't elevate the conversation.
You know what? I even think it would crumble earlier than that. So there's research that points out, I mentioned this in a podcast that I've done previously. There's research that speaks to the way that male and female engage one another socially. You'll often hear females say nonsense like we're all equal, which is kind of their programming. And we observe in their games lack hierarchy and they lack a method of victory. For example, you would observe female children, they play hopscotch. Well, how do you win at hopscotch? You don't. They play house. How do you win at house? You don't win. And when they engage in forms of play as girls, they're in flat organizations. There's no positions. There's no hierarchy, generally speaking. There's no way to win. And when you win, you separate one above the other. When you observe with females, girls at play, and they get into a conflict during the play, what they typically do is the game ends. Game is over. And the reason that the game ends is because for them, the whole game was not about winning. It was not about making progress. It was about engaging one another. That's why we find females, they can talk endlessly. They actually get joy just from talking, even if it's meaningless, pointless, and has no goal. Whereas men were always like, well, what's the outcome? where's this going? What's the plot? Conversely, when you observe boys at play, we play games that involve high numbers of persons, like a football game. Basketball, very organized. There's positions, there's hierarchies, there's team captain, there's a defined way to win, there's rules. And when you engage in a conflict, there's a way to resolve it. In basketball, if you push someone you weren't supposed to, it's called a foul. We have a procedure. And because we have procedures for conflict, we can get beyond conflict. We don't have to end the game. These two examples in parallel show how males are able to lead and organize. And when there's a challenge, they keep it going. Women, when they encounter a challenge, they break down. That's why they're never the top leader. And applying that to civilization itself, the reason they're not able to build meaningful civilizations, they can't even get along with each other long enough to do such. And when they do try to do something sophisticated or difficult, when they encounter interpersonal challenge, everything ends. That's why they need us to program. That's why they need the pimping. You did.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And the other point is they have this misconception that, you know, if you talk about societies of antiquity that had what was be considered matrilineal organizations as opposed to matriarchal, and a lot of people don't
break that down. Break that down. Talk to them.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't understand the difference between the two. Matrilineal means that the woman, just like, for example, take Egypt or Kemet or Nubia, right? They were matrilineal because the king, the pharaoh, if you like, he could have many women, right? So his seed, it had to be very precise with regard to the lineage. And because the king could go out and impregnate whoever he damn wanted, the women were guarded and they had eunuchs around them. So you were very clear that the only men that had access to the queen was the king. So therefore, you could go through the matrilineal line because you knew 100% certain with 100% certainty that that line was of the king. That's why they were matrilineal. Now, matriarchal would be a structure.
Let me just summarize that real quick.
Go ahead.
You're saying matrilineal, we can trace where the blood is coming from, the royal blood. It's not about who has power. It's about who's going to get power in the line, even though it's still a patriarchy, men running it.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
And you bring me to my next point, as opposed to matriarchy, which is where the man or the patriarch is ruling and the seat of power is in his hands, kind of like a hegemon, which is what you were expressing to our fair Banshee over there. So that was the reason why, you know, people get these terms twisted and they think just because Egypt or Nubia was matrilineal. And to be sure, you did have queens that ruled, but they come from lines of patriarchs. And it wasn't because, you know, they didn't rule because there was some queendom or some woman warrior queen who went out and conquered lands. It was their father. And because he may have not had a male heir, you know, that's where the power passed on to the female. But she was still surrounded by a bodyguard of, you know, whether it was men advisors or, you know, generals or whoever. It was never a structure in place where there was some standalone queendom. And like I said, it's very ridiculous that they will mix these terms where you have matrilineal versus matriarchy. So it's just ridiculous.
That's a beautiful thing. And shout out to the audience, because you guys just got a nice little lesson packed in, and you got two key terms right there: matrilineal and matriarchy. Understand the difference is absolutely critical, and a nice little history lesson too. I appreciate you. And you go by Counselor Mr. G.
That is correct.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to meet you and be able to chop up a little bit of game with you. So thank you for sharing. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up, and you can hit me on Marquette Devon if you need anything. It's always a pleasure to make the acquaintance of intelligent men and good men. And I thank you for reaching out and making the connection.
Sure. No problem, bro. And once again, congratulations. I do love to see men like you who are fighting back at this BS and everything that's going on. And we need more brothers like you in the field doing the work. And I just want to congratulate you once again, and, you know, thank you for your service.
Thank you very much. Likewise. Peace to the saints.
Okay. See you, bro.